Here is Maitreya Buddha, who is said to reside actually in Tushita heaven. Yeah, so our center is very auspiciously named Tushita. That's where Maitreya Buddha resides, the future Buddha. So we bow down before them because they were once like us, sabotaging themselves, ordinary beings. And now they, through their effort, through their courage, yeah, through their loving kindness, through their wisdom, compassion and so forth, discipline, they became awakened beings, you know, just like we can become. We can become like that. It's not that Buddha, Shakyamuni, who lived 2,500 years ago, and Lord Maitreya were always Buddhas. No, they were like us, completely deluded. At some point, we would say they weren't even human beings. The continuity of their consciousness going back would have been worms, slugs, whatever. Through evolution of some kind and various factors, they developed a path, they became human. They fulfill the potential of being humans, which is to become a Buddha, which is what? A fully awakened person. So we bow down to that out of gratitude and respect, and we bow down to the Dharma, which the Buddha taught. The Dharma is the actual medicine that Buddha taught. You know, without medicine, we wouldn't go to the doctor, right? You can't take the doctor home and eat him. That would put you in jail. You have to take his medicine. So the Buddha's medicine is the Dharma, that which holds us back from suffering. So the teachings, the scriptures, as well as the actual realizations in the minds of holy beings, we bow down to that. That's the actual medicine. And then we bow down to the spiritual assembly, the Sangha, meaning on one level, people like us. We're working together towards a good common aim of waking up, overcoming self-sabotage. So those beings, but especially those who are quite well on the way, those who have really made deep progress through understanding reality and who have developed a lot of loving kindness and compassion. So those beings, yeah, those beings we bow down to because they are our inspiration, right? People like His Holiness Dalai Lama, our gurus, you know. These are the people who inspire us because they've done that work on their minds. They've become special people. Yeah, they've become people who are worthy of emulation, worthy to bow down to. All the people who came here, we wouldn't be here on this course if all of you didn't come. So we're all grateful to each other. We're bowing down to the Sangha. So we should be happy doing this. It's not just an empty ritual. Okay, let's just sit quietly for a minute and then I'll introduce things a little bit. Just feel that you're sitting with good spiritual friends. And you can be calm and you can let go of all the, well, sometimes nonsense that happens at street level. You can leave that behind for a while. Just feel calm. Feel that you're doing yourself a favor by being here. Just let go of any wandering thoughts that, oh, I should have been somewhere else, or anything like that. Just be happy to be here with other like-minded people. Like-minded in the sense that they resonated to the title of the talk, so we all have something in common, and we can work on that together. So be happy at that. Just take a few deep breaths and let go of any tension that is inevitably there from living in this busy, challenging world of a big city. Let go of that tension with the out breath. In terms of our motivation for being here, There could be many levels of motivation, but I'd just like to introduce you to a certain way that we might like to think about why we're here. You know, when we look around in the world, in an ordinary day-to-day life, there's a lot of people around, you know, especially in big city like Delhi. There are people who annoy us, there are people who get in the way, there are people, you know, who are driving like idiots, there are people who are, whatever, making a noise, there are some people who are attracting us, some people who are repelling us, some people, might be a few who are being kind to us. So many people around, so many, you know, shapes and forms and colors of people moving around. You know, whether we're on a bus or in a taxi or our own car, in the metro, jahan bhi hai. So how are we relating to those people, you know? How are we relating to the other people in this room? That's the question. From a Sanskrit tradition perspective, or Mahayana Buddhist perspective, you know, the great vehicle Buddhist perspective, we would say, you know, all of these people, all of them, every single one, is most kind, K-I-N-D, most kind. The person who's annoying you, the person who has overcharged you, you know, on the taxi or scooter meter, you know, whatever, they're all kind. Some of them are kind. They're not nasty, they're not my enemy, they're kind people. So why would we say that they're kind? You know, it relates to our human potential of being able to become a fully awakened person, a Buddha. And to become a fully awakened person, or a Buddha, we need a sense of genuine, heartfelt, totally genuine, no nakli aspect at all, totally genuine, loving kindness and compassion, which obviously has to extend to everybody. How can we say, oh, I'm a genuinely compassionate person, but I hate that fellow, I hate that broadcaster, I hate that politician, I hate so-and-so. If we say that, and we do, then the road to Buddhahood, to fulfilling our human potential, is blocked. We can't. It's just not possible to become a fully awakened person with that quality of distinguishing and discriminating against certain people because we think they're a pain and they're getting in my way, and you know, I don't like their politics, I don't like what they look like, I don't like anything about them, you know. And we do that. I do that. I do that on a daily basis. That's why I was chosen to give this talk on self-sabotage, because I'm an expert. One should call in experts now for various jobs, you know, development expert, plumbing expert, electrician, you know, so I'm an expert at self-sabotage, so I can talk about it. Usually I can't talk much about the things I'm supposed to. Today I can. I'm experienced in self-sabotage, which is why I'm not a Buddha yet. You know, why am I not a Buddha yet? I would have had so many millions of teachings in previous lifetimes, including this one, on how to become a Buddha. Really, in terms of previous lives and this lifetime, if I were to quantify how many hours I've listened to teachings from my teachers and His Holiness and others, I don't know, thousands of hours, thousands. To abhi tak kya natija hai? You know, bevakoof, you know, still deluded, still making so many mistakes, still having fears, anxieties, attachments, annoyances, sometimes anger towards people. To ye kya hai? Why is that? You know, because I'm an expert in self-sabotage. But luckily, due to the kindness of some teachers and other factors, and also being marooned, that can help. That can help. Helps me, yeah. And not that we all have to become marooned or wear this kind of fashion statement or, you know, wear these robes or save on shampoo. It's not necessary. But there's certain guidelines we will need in life to stop self-sabotaging. So what I was saying was kindness of everyone in this room. This is what we're talking about. Everyone is kind in this room because in order to become a Buddha, we have to extend our loving kindness and compassion to every single being. We have to see, therefore, through reasoning, how every single being plays a part, is responsible for my becoming awakened and overcoming all of the self-destructive behavior that I engage in. Every single being helps me to go beyond that, because I need to include every one of them. I cannot leave out one person and say, this person I'm not going to work for, this person I'm not going to care for. Whether it's a scorpion or a slug or a politician or whoever it is. I have to, in my heart, care for everybody. Doesn't mean, me as a half English person, doesn't mean I have to want to invite everybody to 4 o'clock tea and cakes. No, there are certain people I won't invite. Partly also because they wouldn't appreciate it. But, loving everyone doesn't mean you like everybody and you have to invite them to tea. As one of my first teachers, Lama Yeshe, said, which made quite an impact on some of us at that time. He said to one student, I love you, dear, but I don't like you. Love you means I care for you, I'll work for you, I want you to be happy, but I don't particularly like you because, at the moment you behave in a somewhat obnoxious way. Yeah, jo bhi hai, but I love you. So our love has to extend to everyone. It doesn't mean we like everybody in that sense and want to, spend time with them or, So, can we feel loving kindness towards everybody in this room? Because actually for this event to happen, of course, organizers and the center and the guru and all play a very, very big role, but if every single one of you didn't come here, it's all of you together who make this event, right? So each of us is benefiting because of each of the other people that came here. Does that make sense? Is my logic sound?
Yeah.
Can anybody fault my logic? Those of you who study logic, philosophy. Are there any philosophers here? Any art students? Sab science mein pad gaye. Well, science needs logic, doesn't it? For heaven's sake. Some logic. Tia, what are you?
Arts.
English student?
History.
Huh?
History.
Literature.
History.
History mein logic hai kya?
You asked if there were any art students.
Oh, art students, okay. Yeah, history doesn't show much logic because it's the story of human beings' self-sabotage, isn't it? History is basically self-sabotage at a collective level very often, very often, as we see from at least 20th century history, which is why His Holiness hopes the 21st century could be one of more dialogue and proper conversation between people. But 20th century history, and unfortunately a lot of what we're seeing already in the 21st is a litany of mistakes and greed and power and so forth. So it's very sad, very sad. I don't think any of us would want to be living in Libya, Syria, Iraq, or these places, at this time. Not as a child, not as a mother, not as a father. Or to be in a refugee camp stuck somewhere in Europe, unwanted, basically. Surviving because of the kindness of some people and brave doctors and nurses. Anyway, so love comes back down to loving kindness and the sense of, can we appreciate how the person who is sitting next to you or behind you or in front of you, can we appreciate that they are a human being like me, like you, who wants to be happy? Can we appreciate that? That's the question. Because sometimes it's like, well, I want to be happy, but about other people, I don't know. And maybe I don't care so much. But every person in this room wants to be happy and wants to avoid any pain, the slightest pain or discomfort. Everyone in this room takes some action to avoid. Everybody in this room, in various ways, strives for satisfaction, happiness, pleasure. It's natural. So aren't we all equal in that respect? So that's another factor. But the factor I want to stress is the fact that people are kind. That's what I want to stress. However much we build ourselves up as some special person, each one of us, if you go back just this life, let's forget past lives for now, just this life, we are the result of a sperm and an egg joining. Most of us, I think, in the mother's womb. I don't think too many test tube babies here. So, but it needs a sperm and an egg. And for that you need a man and a woman. Usually our parents. So then, we depend on others, right? From that very basic biological level, we have depended on others. We may say, oh, it's the mind that's important in Buddhism, not the body. Well, that's not quite a correct statement, but where would your mind be if you didn't have the human body? If you had a mind in a frog or a snake's body, what would it be like? But we got a human body due to human parents. So wow, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing when you think what, forget previous lives, but logically you could say, I could have been born a frog, a snake, a donkey, a slug, but I'm not because of human parents. So the human parents are kind. Even if they treated us terribly, let's say, or abandoned me after birth, let's say, that happens for some people. But still, I got this human body. That's amazing. And then since then, if you were to make a list of the people who have been kind to us, if we're honest, it's a very long list. In terms of everything we have, I mean everything. Clothes, food, schooling, roads, transport, money, what hairstyle we have, our barber, our plumber, everything. The person who built the building we live in, the garbage man, the paper man, the dudwala, everything. The person who gets up at 4 a.m. to start the mother dairy booth, they get up early, these people. And the people who deliver the milk probably get up earlier, just so we can have milk, People work hard, often for not very good wages, in order that we get what we want. Of course, we still complain, because that's part of human nature, but part of deluded human nature, let's say. It's not part of Buddha nature, it's part of deluded human nature, self-sabotage nature. We do that. So kindness of others is extraordinary. It is really extraordinary. It's a vast topic. One's tempted to talk only about that, but we can't do that today. But just as a motivation, let's think about all the people in this room. Let's think about how you got here today from your home, using transport, most of us. Or if you use legs, well again, thank you, Mommy, Daddy, for giving me a body which has legs. Certain parents took drugs and their children don't have proper legs, My mother and father didn't take those drugs or whatever, so I'm born reasonably normal, So that's great, isn't it? Or if you took transport, other people provided it. At extraordinary effort, extraordinary human intelligence, effort, technology to make trains and metros and cars and build roads, which we complain about, okay? But isn't it amazing? All the effort of other people. The clothes you're wearing, it's not just that they may have been given to you by other people, but they were made by other people. How many of us, like Gandhiji, are spinning and producing our own clothes? We depend on other people. So this is really something to think about when we feel angry or competitive or feel that other people are just a nuisance, which we do, I do. Sometimes I think people are a nuisance. I should be in a cave, far away from people, Understandable thought in a big city, but it's deluded. It doesn't see the truth of the kindness of other people, the deep kindness of other people, including the people who annoy us. Even them we can include. Why? Because as the great masters say, how would we develop real qualities of patience, of kindness, if everybody else was nice to us? That's so easy, to be kind to people who are kind to me, As we say in English, you stroke my back, I'll stroke your back, But the person who's not nice to us, maybe if we can be kind to them in our hearts, that's something amazing. Christ talks about this. Of course, Buddha talks about this. All the great religions talk about this. Being kind to people who are not kind to you. That's the challenge, isn't it? So those people are actually the most kind because they are testing us, whether our loving kindness is just a joke, a hypocrisy, or whether it's real, So Anyway, just a few words of introduction and motivation. I think it's important. It softens our heart, it makes us feel a bit more gentle towards other people. Because I've been receiving a lot of kindness the last few weeks from people, especially since I got a bit sick. So then you realize, how much you depend on other people. Doctors, co-workers, advisors, there's so many people, You see how you depend on other people's kindness. Without that, impossible to live a decent life. And we see the reason we feel sad, I think, or I hope we feel sad, and it's often close to tears, when we see images from, for example, it could be anywhere, any country in the world actually, but right now it's more Syria, Iraq, Libya, these other places, but anywhere. You see children who are not cared for, you see mothers and people who are desperate, just to get the next meal together in environments where there is just twisted metal and concrete, no trees, bombed out, where hospitals are being bombed. You feel, wow, these people aren't receiving any loving kindness, They're only receiving hatred. And what can they be then developing in their own minds towards the people who are doing this to them? They can't see those people as kind. How could they? Unless they're already very highly evolved practitioners. But if you're desperately trying to get a meal for your child, and already you lost someone in the violence, and you're sick, and you're scared as a mother for your child, and your husband is away somewhere fighting or trying to make some money, isn't it sad? More than sad. It's terrible. These are human beings like you and me. They want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. I'm not blaming anyone at this point. I'm just saying this is the situation of human beings. Shantideva, the great 8th century bodhisattva. Have we all heard of Shantideva? Anyone not heard of Shantideva? Hands up if you haven't heard of Shantideva. Okay, good. So Shantideva was a great 8th century Indian bodhisattva, means very compassionate person, scholar, pandit, great yogi, Mahasiddha, for a while also monk, who studied, he was at Nalanda University, the greatest university, perhaps of all time, but certainly in 8th century India, still a great university, until its destruction a few centuries later. And so he wrote a classic, marvelous text, which I'll be also talking about on the 1st of October, just a bit of advertising there, one-day course on the 1st of October. But Shantideva has produced a book on how to generate, especially how to maintain and develop a mind of great compassion, great loving kindness towards others, And it's a book which His Holiness has said of this book that it's on the basis of this book, studying it, practicing it, that I have any compassion that I may have. So His Holiness regards this as his primary text for developing compassion, loving kindness, and so forth. So there's a very famous quotation early in this book, a verse, in the first chapter itself, on the excellence of the compassionate mind, bodhichitta, which is the wish to become a Buddha in order to lead all other sentient beings to the state of a Buddha. That's one way of defining it. That's how one Lama defines it. Situ Rinpoche, who teaches at Tushita sometimes, he says that bodhichitta is the wish to become a Buddha in order to lead all other beings also to the state of a Buddha. In general, we can say it's the wish to become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings, without exception, not leaving out even one person. So anyway, in this book, his first chapter, he talks about the wonderful qualities of this marvelous mind, which wishes to help all beings, lead them to Buddhahood, and so forth. Marvelous mind. He says even mothers and fathers don't have this kind of mind. No one has this kind of mind, even in their dreams. It's such an amazing kind of mind, to want to help everybody by becoming a Buddha and by leading them all to a state of great happiness. Who could ever think of such a mind, even in your dreams? But this is what a bodhisattva is. That's how they live and behave. So here he says, in verse 28 of chapter 1, I hope you'll all buy this book. Maybe we'll get some copies for people also. This is one of the more modern translations, more recent ones. He says this: For beings long to free themselves from misery, but misery itself they follow and pursue. They long for joy, but in their ignorance destroy it, as they would their foe. Meaning, we want to be free from misery, but we follow misery itself. We want happiness and joy, but because of our ignorant mind, our deluded mind, we destroy the causes of joy as though they were our enemy. So we're acting like mad people, insane people, isn't it? I mean, it's weird, isn't it? People want to be happy. We know that if we think about it. Everybody wants to be happy, from the President of the United States to the President of India, and everyone in the world wants to be happy. Everybody. And you look at the world, why isn't it happy? We want to be happy. The world looks like it's a world of people who want to be unhappy, right? That's what I mean. If someone from outer space who's not very intelligent, let's say, comes and looks and say, "Oh yeah, these people. Oh, it's very clear they like fighting. They like destroying their planet, making their oceans warmer and acidic, and destroying their forests, and killing each other and bombing each other. The bombing hospitals. They seem to enjoy this. How weird, Or maybe they'll think that's strange because maybe they'll think it's okay because maybe they do it as well on their planet. Anyway." The point is, isn't it extraordinary how we create the causes for the opposite of what we want? Isn't it strange? Maybe not, because it's so normal now. If you open the newspaper, you don't see much about people creating causes of happiness for each other. Right? Even though happiness is what we all want. Whether you're the anxious mother in Syria or the pilot who's dropping the bombs, everybody wants happiness. And the people ordering the bombing, they want happiness. Don't they? Or am I wrong in my reasoning? Please tell me. I don't want to just... Also, it's tiring just talking too much, actually. What do you think? Does everyone want happiness, or do some people really want to suffer? What do you think? Seriously. I want your comment. Don't feel any comment is foolish or not intelligent enough. Everything would be good to hear. What do you think? People want to be happy or not?
I think happiness at various levels, basically.
Happiness at various levels, I agree. Yes, happiness at various levels. Some seem to be seeking mainly pleasure, short term. But wouldn't you agree that people do appreciate also deep satisfaction when they can get it? Maybe none have, but there's that sense. In fact, again, to quote Tushita Rinpoche, he says, the reason why we are never satisfied fully with anything we have, usually, is because we have the potential to be fully enlightened. So, we will only ever be fully satisfied, actually, and happy when we have achieved our potential. See what he's saying? It's like he's saying the seed of a tree will never be happy until it has become the tree. It's not happy with just being the seed or little plant. It's happy, but not deepest happiness, right? The deepest happiness comes when it fulfills its potential and become a great tree. A place for birds and, everyone to sit under, to enjoy. That's when a seed fulfills its potential. So now we're all seeds, you could say, Buddha seeds. We don't even know we have the Buddha seed, most of us, but we all have the Buddha seed, and we're unsatisfied because, partly because we don't even know who we are. We don't know who we are. This is a big, very important point. We think, in a sense, and science, unfortunately, has up to now quite largely reinforced this, we think we're just a lump of meat walking around on the planet, trying to get some satisfaction here and there from little pleasures, and, surviving. That's what we think we are. We're lumps of semi-intelligent meat walking around in a competitive world, trying to get something for ourselves. And of course, other people are getting in the way. And so we feel very upset at those people who are thwarting what I want, which is so limited. Why do I say limited? Because make a checklist of what you think will be so important to you when you're dying. When you're on the verge of death, what that we have been chasing after in this life is going to be so useful to us at that time. money? Is that going to help you as you're dying? I mean, when you're really dying. Your money? Is that going to stop you being afraid, or stop the pain, stop the anxiety, stop the regret that you didn't love people enough or care for others or deal with this or that problem, blah, blah, blah. Thousands of things we may regret if we didn't live a life going beyond self-sabotage. There will be many things we regret as we die. So what we are chasing after now is going to help you and me as we die. It's something to think about. Interesting. It would be an interesting list. What do you think is going to help you? The different food products, the different drinks, the different friends, the different entertainments, the foreign holidays, Coca-Cola, fruity, whatever. Make a list of things that are going to help you when you die. Or you might say, well, tranquilizers, painkillers, maybe a little bit. If you have some feeling for continuity of the mind, then of course it becomes more urgent. If you think it's the end, then God is just going to accept you into his, open the gates and you'll be in heaven, that's another thing. Then maybe you don't need to worry at all. Then you just do what you want. But if you feel there could be some cause and effect principle operating in life, and that what we do now does have an effect, and that there is actually a continuum that we call a mind or consciousness which continues, then we should be very concerned about what is going to help us and what is not going to help us at the time of death. Because you might argue that we are totally sabotaging ourselves for the future by not engaging in what is actually important in life, which is understanding who we are and developing that seed of who we actually are.